We're back in action. The DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by Bet365. Coming back at you live on a new week. The Four Nations final is completely set. We may get into that a little bit later, but first, let's talk some Avalanche things and all the rumors swirling. I'm sure you've seen Cale Makar's interview about it. I'm sure you've seen everyone talking about the interest from Colorado in Brad Marchand. I don't know that this makes a ton of sense, but we'll take a look at both angles of it. AJ, Rudo, coming at you live on a Tuesday. Just gut reaction to the Brad Marchand thought, to the rumors that the Avs have been interested. Does he even make sense in Colorado? Is it something you would be interested in? Where are we at, boys?
I'll let you start this.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take it. Here's what I'll say. Do I think it's going to happen? No, that's one. Do I think he's even getting traded? No. That's just my gut. He's a big part of the Bruin foundation here, right? Homegrown, and you got to remember they really believe in their what's the word there that we always talk about in the locker room? Their culture. They really believe in it, and you got to remember the last few years they've lost Chara, Bergeron. You know what I mean? And then I don't think they would get rid of him, so to speak. You know what I mean? Move on from him. I do believe that they're going to keep him and extend him. With that said, do I like him? I don't like him. I love him. I do. Always have. It just shows you. It's not just about the size of what is it? The size of the dog in the fight, whatever it is that's saying. It's this guy's a bulldog. You know what I mean? Like, and I got to be honest with you, I fell in love with him. God, man, it's got to be like 15 years ago, right? I mean, this is his 15th year in the league, or give and take.
Just about, yeah.
Fell in love with him in Providence, his first year pro. I was working with the Avs. I was down there to go see. I don't remember who it was, honestly, working on something, and then I made the track down to Providence, the Bruins. They're in the American League, and I remember seeing him play for the first time. And I believe he's a third-round pick or something. He's obviously not a first-round pick, and not sure who I was going to see, but I was going to see someone like a first-round pick. You know what I mean? And I remember walking out of that building saying, I really don't care about player X, that first-round pick. I really love this Marchand guy. This guy's got a motor. This guy's going to find a way to play. And it's funny because all of a sudden you see him a year later or whatever it is, and then he's a big part of that, that cup run for them and a few cup runs, but obviously the ultimate goal when they win. This is a guy that everybody needs on their team. He's not a dude you invite to the wine party, right? He's a dude that you invite to the freaking rock concert, right? That's what he is. You know what I mean? He'll disturb anything in sight. One thing that I've seen, because I've seen it with my own eyes and I've talked, obviously there's no secret that Joe's one of my good friends, Sacco, and over the years and Joe's been there 10 years now coaching him. He said there's nobody that practices harder in the NHL than Brad Marchand. You know what I mean? And it's amazing. It's a culture that was, to my point earlier, set in there by the Charas of the world, Bergerons of the world, and this guy is the epitome of that. It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to see. Now, when you're 5'0", like he is, How much miles is there left in that tank, right? Obviously, this is not the same player he used to be, with all the reasons. I think this summer took a toll on him. That surgery, or those surgeries with an S, was not the same player when he came back early in the season. It was a tough go. But would I take him on my team? Absolutely. Would he be something that the Avs would be needing? Yes, I complain to Rudolph during watch longs all the time, and you, AJ, about a little bit of oomph, a little bit of pop at times. You're missing some of that. Yes, he's not 6'6", but he sure plays like a guy that's 6'6", and he's always in there. He's always involved. So I do believe this is the type of player that would be unbelievable add for the Avalanche. You know what I mean? Do I think it's going to happen? I could be wrong. People thought that Ray Bourque wouldn't be coming to the Avs back then. This is also a Bruin. You know, it could. I just don't see them moving on from him. But if they move on from him, I would like to tell you that I raise my hand if I'm CMAC and I want to add this guy to my team.
Eric, just this isn't about Brad Marchand, but is there any chance that the first rounder that you were there to see, was Zach Hamill?
Absolutely.
Okay, oof. I was just curious.
We're on the same page.
That's an oof, brother.
Yeah, that's a rough top 10 pick. Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. That is.
Boy, was I right. Woo! Yeah. Hold on.
Homeboy spent a long time in Europe.
Sometimes you get losses. Yeah. And you walk out of that building, and like I tell you all the time, it's so funny. I remember I used to use Connor Garland all the time as an example. You go watch an American League game, you don't want to like him. You don't. But you walk out, you write your report, and you're like, God, this guy was the best player on both teams. You know what I mean? And it's like, you knew he was going to find his way to the NHL. You know, and it was the same thing with Marchand. You know what I mean? I think you just knew.
So there's a couple of things Eric touched on there that if you just look at his basic stat card that we have up here that you can get into. One, $6.125 million left on the deal. He is a pending UFA. So if the Avs do it, it would be a rental, and they probably also need Boston to retain, unless this is the only move they want to make, essentially. And even then, they need to make money work a little bit. Two, he's small. And that isn't it's not always the size of the line, it's the fighting them. But if you're looking at this guy to be a pest, absolutely. He'll get in there, he'll make nonsense against anyone. But if you're looking for this guy to be an actual large physical presence, no, not going to happen. And three, maybe most concerningly, given the Avs system, I am worried about the hips. I'm worried about his skating ability at where he's at in his career. On the flip side, he's pretty automatic right around 30 goal guy, and his shooting has been once again solid this year. So if you're looking for depth on the goal scoring side, I see how that makes a little bit of sense too. Maybe my biggest drawback, though, he's just not a center.
Yeah, so Rudo, in preparation of the show, I went and found it, but would you feel better about his skating ability if I told you that he was in the 60th percentile for skating, for speed bursts over 20 miles an hour, which is kind of like the thing that we have to look at?
I mean, that's probably right about where I guessed he would be.
So it's not bad. We're not talking about the SS Raijo here. You know? It's more, it's just down a little bit from what it was. Also, I would say the other part of that that I want to touch on, he is small physically, but the reason he's had the career he's had is because he plays big.
Sure, he plays bigger than his size.
And like the pest in him hasn't gone away. That obnoxious, I'm not allowed to use the words that I would like to use to describe him, so I'll just say he's obnoxious. He's a pest, You can
he's say feisty. SOB, I think.
He is unpleasant.
I wasn't sure earlier.
He is generally unpleasant to be in the vicinity of if you are an opposing player. And that is something that should appeal to Colorado. Now, the conversation that obviously the Toyota chat has already started digging into, but do they really need another wing? But again, we do this math all the time. You have Martin Necas, you have Jonathan Turan, you have Arturi Lehkonen, you have Val Nichushkin coming back this weekend, you have Ross Colton, and I'm forgetting somebody. So Logan O'Connor would be like the sixth guy, your sixth wing.
Sure.
That you
There's
like
your
to
top
see.
9 lines of wingers. Yeah,
Exactly. Those are your 1 through 3 that you're working with. Yes, like Brad Marchand would fit somewhere into that list, but that's not like the thing that they really need. When we made our trade board, we all liked Jason Zucker. We all thought, hey, this is a pretty good player for like that would fill them out, but it doesn't like fill like a need for them. Like you're talking about, okay, are they going to do the big thing with Casey Middlestad at 2C? Are they going to go and try and get a Nazem Kadri or Brock Nelson or somebody else? Are they going to do a thing at 3C and move Jack Drury to 4C? The center conversation and then the defenseman conversation are much bigger
at the
conversations
forefront for sure.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. At the forefront, yes. That's what you were looking at. The one thing about Marchand, though, is he actually has a pretty decent goal-scoring map. If you look at where he's getting them from, it's not just this big list of he's standing right in front of the crease, banging home rebounds and stuff, which is something the Avs do need. But he has been able to score from around throughout the offensive zone. If you look at the reflection in this lens right here, that's what's right there. That's what's right there. I'm looking at it right now, is where he scored all of his goals from. It's a pretty wide array. So you put him on a PK, he's been great there for a long time. The heart, the grit, the tenacity, all of those things, the intangible things, are things that you adore about that guy. He would help you. The skating has fallen. It is not that bad. And we're talking about he's in the 60th percentile. He's still an above average skater. So you're doing okay there. It's just, it's not going to be cheap. And where does he fit into your lineup? And does this really address a need for you? And for me, I think when you're just talking about him being solely a wing, that answer is no. When you talk about how he plays the game, that answer is yes.
So
how do you value it?
I generally agree, but we do have Marchand's isolated impacts here. It's not his goal scoring map, but you can see the offensive impact from Brad has been pretty friggin' outrageous this year for Boston. He's been really, really, really good in the offensive zone. The other side is a little weird, though. At 5-on-5, he's been just okay defensively. And yes, he's been great on the penalty kill, but when you look at the Avs since the turn of the new year, their penalty kill's actually been quite good. They don't necessarily need help there anymore. So I don't know that how much Marchand's penalty killing acumen really helps them at the moment. Hard to argue with those offensive numbers. It looks pretty. You love what he's doing on that side of the puck. But as you said, AJ, and we talked about this with Jared McCann too, which was a little bit of a different conversation with McCann of like, maybe you believe he can play center. With Marchand, he's not. Never been, never will be a center. He's not a center, so that's not an option. And that's where it becomes more of a luxury move to me. If the Avs make other moves, if they find a solid center, a solid D, and they somehow have money left in the bank, maybe Marchand is the last thing you do. And he becomes that extra piece that now he or you move someone else down to your third line on the wing that gives you even more ridiculous firepower in your offense. But I struggle to see where Marchand can come through as the key piece for Colorado at this trade deadline. There are a couple of other sides to it that I do want to get into, but we do have to pay some bills first. So let's get over to that, as especially when you're talking about someone like Marchand. You might be willing to call him a a stinky rat or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he smells a little bit. That's where Mando comes into play, all right? Mando will make sure you're smelling clean and great, even if you're Brad Marchand. So you're good to go on that one. Make sure you're getting with Mando today. Of course, they have tons of different products, including a bunch of great smells. And they've got you covered from armpits to belly buttons to balls to butt cracks and even your grundles. That's where Mando comes in. You can get their starter pack today, which comes with 4 items, including 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes. It also comes with a solid stick deodorant and a cream tube deodorant, and free shipping on top of all of that. And even on top of that, you can get $5 off that starter pack when you use the exclusive DNVR code at shopmando.com. So make sure you're getting with them. Again, you have a variety of scents to choose from, like Bourbon Leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. They've got something for everyone when it comes to making sure you're feeling clean and good. Again, head over to shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com, and use that DNVR code to get your starter pack for $5 off and free shipping today. Of course, once you've got it, make sure you show support to us. Let them know we sent you over there. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. And once you're feeling good, once you're all smelling nice, hop in your car and head to where you're going. Make sure it's a Toyota. If it's a snowy day outside, I don't know what it's like back east for you guys, but for me, roads are a little rough out there right now. Toyota's got you covered with 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles as the official vehicle of us here at DNVR. They've also got a bunch of hybrid vehicles, which when you have a commute like me, kind of a big deal. Saves you a lot of money on gas. They've got vehicles for everyone too. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, you name it. Toyota's got you covered. Their trucks even have a hybrid option too. So they've got it all when it comes to Toyota, and they're the official vehicle of not just us here at DNVR, but the Colorado Avalanche. So head on over to your local Front Range Toyota dealerships, including Auto-Nation Toyota, Rapids, Centennial, Corbin Toyota, Boulder, Groove Toyota, Littleton, Mount States Toyota, Endeavor, Stevens and Short East and Aurora, and Stevens and Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, they're the official vehicle of us here at DNVR. Toyota, let's go places. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. And here's where I think I might be able to get talked into Brad Marchand as making a little bit more sense. Not necessarily with the on-ice product, but if you go back and listen to the interviews that Makar has done about Marchand and that Marchand has done about Makar and Mackinnon, Marchand seems like a super upbeat guy. Obviously, he's captain in Boston. You know, there's a lot of leadership qualities there. He practices in the offseason with Mackinnon and Crosby, so there's some connections there. There's a lot of connections, and I see Chat kind of mentioning this. I think we've talked about it at times this season. Would Marchand be a guy that, I don't want to say that the Avs locker room is unstable, but maybe he brings that extra element that it feels like the Avs have been missing at times with no Gabe Landeskog. And I know Landeskog travels with the team some and all that, but could Marchand be that kind of intangibles guy?
Yeah, I mean, the intangibles have always been off the charts for that guy. Everybody loves it. I mean, everybody hates to play against him, and fans hate to watch him because he does dumb stuff like he licks opposing players and like you know, like he drives everybody crazy, but like that's his survival.
Yeah.
Like his love language is misery, and it's inside the locker room he's adored by the guys that he's around on a regular basis. Like the guy is great. Like, he really is. He's still a really, really good, effective hockey player. Even though he has slowed down, he's not the same guy. Like, he's not on a 6-year deal. This isn't like talking about getting a guy for a long term here. You know, you can get him at the deadline, see how this thing goes, and then if things go well, then maybe you can keep him in the offseason. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But he's good. He's still a good player. Like, it's I have a hard time being like, oh, well, you can't go get Brad Marchand because you have Ross Colton, you know? Like, and if we're being honest, Ross Colton's probably part of that deal. So, you know, like, there's... From a hockey perspective, we talked about this already, but the intangible thing are off the charts. The guy is awesome at all that stuff, and he's built for postseason hockey. Even if you look at his track record and you say, "Oh, I don't I don't like this about him. All the reasons that everybody justifiably has not liked him, he would now be on your team, and everybody loves that guy on their team. Especially when everybody else hates them, like love to have him, hate to play against him kind of guy. To be honest with you, the Avs could use one.
Yeah, and if I can add the dynamics of what he is, I'm not comparing this player to him because it's a totally different player, but the dynamics are very normal. So for older Avs fans, Claude Lemieux, you know what I mean? And it's kind of what that is, you know what I mean? I'm not comparing the players. They're two different players. But they're leaders. They play when it counts. They love the moment. They want to be counted on. They want to be the guy. I look no further than Bednar when they added the goalies, right? Those trades when they added the 2 goalies in a week there. Remember what he kept going back to? Oh, they're great in the room. They're great in the room. There's a reason for that. And I think he addressed it. He goes, no, there's no problem in the room. It's just a quiet room. And this is the way we were, 2022, a quiet room. You might have been a quiet room, but Gabe's not playing. As much as Gabe is still a presence, like you said, it's not the same thing. Kadri, kind of a loud mouth. You know what I mean? The Claude Lemieux, the Marchand, you know what I mean? Like annoying sometimes, and you want to kill him even on your own team. You know what I mean? It's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. And you know, they added those goalies, and that was the one thing Bednar said, right? He's like, oh yeah, they're very vocal. They're good guys. They're fun to have around. It changes the dynamics of the room a little bit when you have a little bit of an active room, you know? Do I believe they need to add a couple more? That'd be great, I think. Again, I'm not in that room. I don't get dressed. I don't want to hear the people that are, you know, getting interviews after the game. That is not the room. You know what I mean? The room is past that. You know what I mean? Once everybody's gone, right? I mean, no offense to anyone. The room it's past. Of course, it's when everybody's gone. That's your room. That's your plane. That's your bus. That's what goes on behind the scenes. That's what goes on in the group chats. You know. Again, just for that, I understand the center dynamics. I understand the wing dynamics. I'm all part of it. Again, if there's something that's done, again, we're all assuming that they would let him go. You know, that's one thing. You know, Boston. That's if it goes south a little bit for them here, and then you know, like I said, I think he's going to end up with a deal, but you never know, right? We've seen crazier things, but. Then does that make sense for the Avalanche? If it makes sense for them, if they figure out the center position, and you know, again, he's not a center. I'd love to have a guy like that, and for like I said, for all the things we're talking about, you know, I mean, the intangibles of what a person like that brings in the room, on the ice, in the big moments. This guy doesn't shy away from anything. He lights up a room. You know, again, you can see it there with Team Canada. Same thing. He walks in there. He's one of those guys. You know what I mean? Just small in stature, but takes a lot of room. You know what I mean? And that's what I like about a guy like him. He takes up a lot of room on the ice, on the bench, and sometimes it just, you know, deflects the attention to him. And you know, where you're not talking about player X that's struggling, you're just talking about him licking someone's face. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, there's a reason to everything he does. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And that's what I love about it. You know? So, like I said, I'd raise my hand if I'm C-Mac.
Look, part of this conversation is where are the Boston Bruins? It feels like they finally, as a team, have hit that massive wall that we all thought was coming a couple of years ago, and they extended that timeline a little bit. But are they technically in the playoff race in the East? Sure, but most teams have games in hand on them. Their goal differential is horrible. Now we're talking about Charlie McAvoy potentially being hurt from this Four Nations. It feels like a team that might be transitioning into cellar mode here. So if there is a conversation about guys like Marchand being available, I would say I believe it. But I guess the question is, what would be the price for someone like that? Especially because you're buying him as a rental, right? If it goes well and you sign him, great, but that's not what you're paying for when you make the trade.
The problem with Marchand is really, again, like positional value here is important. Like I'm not even going to mess with the center thing, but the Avs need to use some of their assets to get another defenseman and another impact defenseman. not like the Carson Soucies of the world, where you're like, hey, here's like a decent third pairing guy that can help you, like an impact guy to help buoy Josh Manson's ever evolving style of play. So with Marchand, like, you want to do that deal after you get the defenseman so that you know kind of what sort of assets that you have available to you, and then, all right, what's appropriate, what are we comfortable with? Because if you do this first and then you end up looking around at the defenseman market going, well, we don't have those assets, like, is he so good still? Is he so important to your lineup that this is what you need more than another defenseman? And I don't think that's the case. But with Boston being a seller, like, they're 1 point out of a playoff spot right now, but they have everybody has games in hand on them, and they haven't been very good. They've been straight up bad on the road, and they're in a mix with the Islanders, Rangers, Blue Jackets, Red Wings, and Senators. All of those teams. That's a lot of teams to be in a mix with. Like, they've got 2 weeks to kind of figure it out, but they need to be. Let's be real here. They need a mix. They need a different mix there. This has gotten ineffective.
Yep. To their defense, though, the only thing I can add is Swayman hasn't been Swayman. It just shows you, like, missing training camp is a big deal for players. And Lindholm has been absent for such a long time too, and then McAvoy was hurt, and then they really got crippled on the back end a little bit. On top of everything, hence their goal differential. Not very good. Mixed that with the goaltending, and I'm a Swayman fan. He just hasn't, he hasn't been, what he's supposed to be. Been really up and down. So, but yeah, you're right. Who knows what they're going to have to do? They're catching a lot of heat, obviously, with it all started with the Swayman holdout, and and hey, what have they done the last 10 years on development and all that kind of stuff? And I think they've caught a lot of flack, and I think you're right. Maybe they are on selling mode. Like very soon. Rather than later.
I don't know how many levers they have to pull, right? Like, they tried the coaching switch thing, and I guess they've played better since that. Not a lot better, but they aren't a complete disaster anymore. So I don't know how many other options they have beyond it might be time to dismantle this.
And that's my point. I don't think it's a coaching thing. We all knew Monty was a good coach, and we all know, I mean, I'm biased. I love Joe. He's a good coach, but I think it's just a lack of talent. I don't think they have a lot of talent. That team does not have a lot of talent. So
yeah. I mean, you look at their lineup. David Pastrnak, 68 points. That's a good season. Obviously, that's a really good season. He's great. And then Brad Marchand is second at 44 points. Pavel Zacha's next at 33. Like, and there are no games played considerations with those guys. They've all been there. And after that, I mean, you're getting further and further down the line. It's just their big moves in the offseason when they went and got Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov were busts.
Didn't work.
They haven't. Neither guy has been nearly good enough for what they paid for them.
Yep. For the record, the Avs have projected to have a little less than $5 million of cap space at the deadline. Now they could add to that a little bit by running a thin roster and carrying 20 or 21. If they absolutely wanted to, they could probably fit Marchand's entire contract. But again, that would severely limit anything else they could possibly do. Which
you just need to kneecap Miles Wood.
Yeah, sure.
Nancy Kerrigan?
Yeah.
Now,
Jeff Gillooly, where are you at?
Jeff Gillooly.
Now, if you get Marchand at half retained, there's probably enough cap space to work with there that you could look at the defenseman market. You could look at, I don't know, the center market's tough, but especially if you're going out and getting Brad. But maybe there are other things you can do there. I just don't know that it would be anywhere near the top of the list of things I would do if I'm the Avalanche. So it is what it is. We'll leave you with Marchand's player card here, though. Dude's pretty good hockey player. It's obviously come down a little bit over this year as far as his WAR is concerned. If we could bring up that card, Tiff. It's still like, what, 88%, I think it is. Okay.
Well, he is I mean, I feel like we pretty well covered it. Brad Marchand still is who he is, but he would be better than pretty much all the other, like a better player than pretty much all the other guys that we're going to be talking about them targeting. But the fit would be different.
Questionable, yeah.
Yeah, like just how he elevates their roster, how he makes them better is a tougher question. So that is a, again, better player, but worse fit, and there's just the raw need for it isn't quite on the same level.
Yep. I will say that teammates percentage is quite low. Would be curious to see if you had a little bit better team built around him. There's a couple other things I want to touch on Marchand before we move on, but we do got to pay some more bills, so let's get into that. As this podcast is presented by Bet365, make sure you're getting over with them, getting your bets in. USA versus Canada rematch. You can get your money in on that. Who you think's going to take it? Who you think's going to score goals? Cale Makar back in for Canada. Sounds like Quinn Hughes might play for US. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of conversations going on about who's healthy, who's got the flu. Maybe you've got an inside line and got some good money on that one. Whatever it is you're betting on, make sure you do it with Bet365 and use the DNVR 365 code when you sign up today. When you use that code and you bet $5 on anything, win or lose, you'll get $100 in bonus bets. So jump in with them on that. You can also get early payout offers in the NHL. If a team gets a 3-goal lead and you pick them to win, your bet pays out immediately. There's a bunch of other great options too when it comes to Bet365. So sign up with that DNVR 365 code today. Get that $100 in bonus bets to just play around and have fun with. And remember that it's never ordinary at Bet365. Of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. And when you're sitting there picking your bets, make sure you're choosing chill with an ice-cold Coors Light. The mountains turn blue on the bottle or the can to let you know that it is ice-cold and ready to drink, ready for any occasion, whether it's watching the big game or maybe just chilling, having a snow day like we're having here in Colorado. Always one of my favorite things is stick my beers out in the snow and watch them get ice cold and then crack them. And the coolest part is, turn blue, baby.
Turn blue.
You don't even have to get out of your house when it's a snowy day. It's a bad day. You can get it delivered right to your front door thanks to Instacart. Thanks to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. So jump in with Coors Light. Make sure you're choosing chill for any occasion and do it the easy way by getting it delivered right to your front door. Of course, with Coors, you must be drinking responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And go enjoy your Coors Light wherever you are, whenever you are. Choose chill. All right. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. There's two more things I wanted to get into with Marchand. Number one, is this just the Avs collecting the Sidney Crosby Infinity Stones?
I mean, can they get Justin Barron back? He works with them too. Like,
I think Shane Bowers was there for a year or two. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Nova Scotia guy too. Yeah. Sure. That sounds fun. Try and build as much of Team Canada as you can. That rocks.
It's a pretty good team, it turns out. So, yeah, I'm in on that front. The other side of it, and I don't know, we're probably too in the weeds for a deal that's not actually going to end up happening here. But I do wonder what his fit is in Colorado. You look at his TOI, he's never really been a big TOI guy. He's never played over 20 minutes on average a season ever. Obviously, as he's getting older and his legs aren't what they used to be, you also expect that number to go down. So if he were to come to Colorado, it's hard for me to see him holding up as a top line guy. Would you even have him in the top six if you're the Avs, or is he really just such a luxury that he's a goal scorer on your third line here?
Yeah, I really don't know what I really don't have like a good idea of where I would put him, but like it's not hard to imagine putting him and Jack Drury and Logan O'Connor on a line together and being like, hey, like you're just kind of obnoxious to play against, and please score a couple of goals along the way, please.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know where Ross Colton is in that lineup, in that configuration. So
in Boston, yeah.
Yeah, in Boston, exactly. That would probably. Well played, sir. But
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I mean, would I love to see him in LOC and Drury line? Absolutely. Can he play with Mackinnon? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, again, there's so many question marks right now to answer. Like, it's Val Matushkin. Where are we at with him? You know what I mean? Like, what is going on? Obviously, Gabe, that's a big question mark. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know where, but I think this is the type of guy that could fit anywhere because I think he would make it fit. He's made a career out of doing that. You know what I mean? Like where, sure, I'll do whatever. You need me here, I'll go there. You need me there, I'll go there. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't get bothered. But that type of stuff, yeah. I mean, I think he's just a guy. I think you find a fit for him. And I'm not saying you make a trade like that. You obviously have to have a plan. I'm saying before you make the trade, you'll find a fit for him and then pull the trigger. You know what I mean? Where you're comfortable, where he would fit, you know?
Yeah. Again, it's not about Marchand. It's about more what the Avs need. And as good a player as Marchand is or isn't, he doesn't really fit the Avs' targets at this deadline.
And the Avs, not for nothing, but the Avs have made a concerted effort this season to get a little bit younger.
It's true.
Netchis, Blackwood, and Drury are all much younger than the guys that
they
were replacing. Yeah, and Wedgwood for Anadin swap is it's the backup goalie. I don't care. It's fine. You can get older there. But the rest of those guys, like you are looking at, those three guys are very likely going to be Avs for, let's just say, at least 3 seasons. Seems like a fair bet. And
certainly Drury and Blackwood.
Yeah, Blackwood we feel pretty good about. He signed. But the other guys, the other part of it is with Marchand, like, even if you were to re-sign him, you're doing maybe 2 years at a time, 1 year at a time, kind of like Pavelski did at the end in Dallas, where it's like, we're going to keep doing it until it's very clearly done.
Yeah. You're signing that 1 year deal saying, hope this isn't the year the hips explode.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, you're like, I don't want this to be the one. And then it's the one, and you're like, this is
rough.
He needs to go. We got to go.
Yeah. I want to sidetrack us here just because I saw Chat talking about it, and I think it's an interesting conversation. The Dallas Stars picking up Grandlund. They do pay a first-round pick in that deal. Grandlund's an interesting one because don't get me wrong, he's having a fantastic regular season. He's pretty much always outside of a couple of years in Nashville there and that 1 year where he did nothing in Pittsburgh. But he's been a solid regular season producer. There is no doubt about that. But when you look at his playoffs, he's never really gone on a deep run in the playoffs, and he's never really produced that well in the playoffs, right around a 0.5 point per game player in the playoffs. So, I know you're usually the guy that looks at this. When you're looking at someone like Grandlund, is there some concerns about him not being a big game player there?
Yeah, I think originally it was more, again, you go back years, and because of what you just said, I loved him. He can play center, he can play wing. So smart. You're watching him at Four Nations right now. He scores that big goal there the other day. But still, like he's playoff-wise, you're right. I think teams have always look at the history. There's a reason why he wasn't signed with the teams he got to at the deadline. Didn't go on that long of a run, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we got to sign a big, multi-year deal there. You know what I mean? I think he's just been going to a different place, and that's my concern with him. Just, again, I hate to say that, but I think it's just a reality. I think not everybody's like Jack Eichel. I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, he doesn't play in the playoffs. No crap, he's never played in the playoffs. And then once he goes in the playoffs, he went all the way, and then it was a complete stud. You know what I mean? I think on this one, it's like, yeah, hasn't been the greatest in playoffs. You know what I mean? But he's such a versatile tool. You know what I mean? Tool in a good way, not like bad mouthing him, saying he's very. I'm not saying that guy's such a tool. You know what I mean? That's one of my expressions. But no, this guy is very actually useful. You know what I mean? He's a
Swiss
great
Army
utility
knife.
guy. He is a Swiss Army knife. He's your poor man Mackinnon a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, and my boy. Finns are smart. I don't know what it is in the waters there, the way they play hockey when they're little, young. There's just, I don't know, they play the right way. And, this guy plays the right way. And he's smart about it. And he compliments other players well. I don't know if that bite, like we talk about, like the Marchand bite, you know what I mean, is there. I don't think it's there. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. I've been wrong before, but that'd be one of those where I'd be like, kind of soft.
Definitely on the softer side.
Let's not forget that the first round pick was also partially Cody Ceci. So
yeah, I mean, if you want to have a conversation about the right side of Dallas's defense, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, delightful. So I just with Grandlund, the love for him, I think he's the king of empty calories this year. I'm just not bought in on him playing a ton of minutes with the very best players that San Jose has to offer. He's gonna roll out to Dallas, and he's not gonna be in that role. It's just he's fine. He's a decent player. I'm just not moved, but like if the Avs were to deal their first round pick, I would like a better return than that. In the same way that I would have liked a better return than Sean Walker last year. You know, like Sean Walker and dumping a contract that you made a mistake in acquiring in the first place. Like it's with Grandlund and CC, it's like this is what you're using a first on. I guess for me, I'm not moved that much by it. Dallas's strength was already its forward depth. It gets a little bit better, but they use one of their primary assets. Their defense is not deep. It's not very good. The right side is kind of a smattering of third pairing defensemen and guys that would maybe be better as 7-8 guys, and Cody Ceci doesn't change any of that math.
Nope.
So I just don't. I don't. It's fine. Cool. I like when Dallas does things I don't like.
To bring this back into the Avs, I guess my question is, if you're looking for a center, what out there is better than Grandlund if you're Colorado?
Well, I mean, Metal just talked about it right there, and I know, he's like Jake Evans, but we love Jake Evans. I mean, at least
he's like number 2 on our trade board, I think. So
yeah. Hold on, I've got our trade board right here. He's number 2 on it.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay.
So you have him.
Like Metal. Metal's our guy. He thinks like us.
I think we all really like Ryan O'Reilly as an option if he's actually available. Brock Nelson is an option on there. I think
Gord.
there's a hand. Yeah, sure.
I know Yanni Gord is hurt, but Yanni Gord will be back in mid-March. He'll be back before the postseason starts. It's just he'll be back a week after the deadline ends. So that kind of sucks. But it's like there are center options out there that could help. Not a lot of those guys that we're talking about are like clear-cut second-line center upgrades. And Jack Drury's a fine third-line center. Like he's fine.
Sure, fine is the correct answer there. But I don't know. The Avs have had this weird obsession with playing not centers at center the last couple of years, and it hasn't panned out super well. So,
in their defense, like Parker Kelly, I don't understand the people that like really hate Parker Kelly. He's fine.
He's exactly who he was billed as. Yeah,
exactly. He's miscast in the position that he's in, but like it's fine. He's not great. He's not a bum, and he's very cheap. And hopefully they would move him back to wing at some point. But like, you look at his defensive impacts. His defensive impacts have been great. He's bad at faceoffs. You know why? He's not a center.
Yep.
It's fine, but like he's been pretty good defensively. Okay on the PK. Like, whatever. Like, he would not be incredibly difficult to upgrade, but also that's what you're spending assets on when you need like a top 4 defenseman. You need someone in your top 9 that can help you, preferably a center. Like, the Avs just don't have very many assets to move. Parker Kelly can't be the guy that you like obsess over trying to replace. If you can, dope. But otherwise, get the impact guys, and the rest will take care of itself.
All right, let's change gears a little bit here. I don't want to get too much into previewing the Four Nations. That'll be tomorrow's show, but I do want to talk about a couple of Avs angles here at the Four Nations. Number one, Nathan Mackinnon plays with Sidney Crosby for 1 week, and he's a face-off master now. He's winning face-offs like crazy in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Drury came to Colorado after being a really good face-off guy in Carolina and can't win face-offs, so maybe there's just something about playing in Colorado that makes you bad at face-offs. I jokingly text Eric during games and go, "It's the skills coach, isn't it?" And he just laughs at me. I don't know what the deal is, dude. Maybe. Just get Sidney Crosby to be their skills coach and their second-line center. You're welcome, Cronkies. I'm saving you money.
Double up on it. I'm in. I'm sold on this idea. Works for me. Beyond that, and this is definitely a 2 in the weeds topic. He will play on Thursday. Cale Makar out with illness for the 1 Canadian game. Does that help a little bit? Does that give Cale a little bit of rest that maybe he needed? I know in game 1 he played like 28 minutes or something ridiculous, and he played 24 in the Finland game, I think. So it's not like he's coasting around out there at the Four Nations, but he did get 1 day off. Is Cale gonna get a little bit of a rest and relaxation here, or is he gonna come back tired? Because the Avs do have a back-to-back immediately this weekend after the tournament ends.
Well, that's the thing about this tournament, right? I mean, that's just, that's what we talked about before going in, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll say it again, the team that was laughing was Washington, like they had 0 guys, you know what I mean? Because of their elite guys are not part of the Four Nations of this tournament, and then Wilson wasn't taken, or Logan Thompson wasn't taken, or you know what I mean, and then they end up with nobody going. Where they're the ones that are laughing. They're the ones that should be well rested. Now, it can springboard you, right? If you're having a good tournament, make you feel better, you feel good and hungry. But yeah, I mean, as much as the schedule is condensed before the Four Nations and after the Four Nations, we just talked about it. I think AJ brought it up, or an hour ago when we were talking offline, like. Those guys, or was that you, Rudo? Like this is a crazy week, you know what I mean, for those guys. And then all of a sudden it's a very big emotional game again Thursday, and then you're going back to your team and right into a back-to-back, you know what I mean, with, it is what it is, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what are you going to do? So that's all part of it. Everyone knew it. But yeah, some guys will be tired. I think it's just the facts of life. I mean, this is just, those are facts. I mean.
Yep. They don't get any easier. If you want to see the Avs when they're back in action, make sure you're doing it with us, as we are taking over Ball Arena on February 28th. The Avs are playing against Minnesota. We're taking over a suite. It's going to be a super awesome experience. There's only 6, I believe, suite tickets left. So those are running out very quickly. If you want to get in the suite, make sure you get on it now so you can get in there. And Michel Goulet will be in the suite with us. So if you want one of the best goal scorers in franchise history, you want to pick his brain about the Avs and hockey, jump in with that. It's going to be an awesome time in the suites. If you can't make the suite, we also are selling bus tickets. So if you want to just have the bus to and from the bar with us, you get free beers. It's an awesome time. You can pick up bus tickets too if you already have tickets to the game. There you go. Tiff put the link down in the chat. You can also go over to thednvr.com/events to find the link and get yourself some tickets and be part of that. You also probably saw Tiff putting up our St. Patrick's Day merch and in the bottom corner there. Some new shirts from DNVR. There you go. go check out all that stuff. We're the day drinking champions out here at DNVR. So go check that out. Go have a good time. It's always fun over at DNVR, whether it's shirts or in a suite. Who's to say? All right. The other conversation I wanted to have about this event, and AJ, you did talk about this today on TDSP, which go check that out. AJ and J Mike did a great job over there. Obviously, the final hasn't been played yet, but rousing success for the NHL. I have to think they're pretty happy with how this Four Nations has gone.
Yeah, I think it's been a good success in that hockey fans have been energized by it, but non-hockey fans have taken a great interest in it. I think that unfortunately there's a lot of bad faith actors that are using hockey as a vehicle to make the political stance that they would like to make well known, and I think that sucks ass. We keep hearing how sports isn't a place for politics, and then it feels like it's been the sideshow of this tournament has been the geopolitical landscape that has pervaded all aspects of this thing. So that sucks for me. I think that part of it sucks. I don't play anthems at all before games. Play them after the game for the team for the country that wins. You want to hear your national anthem, win the game. Otherwise,
earn it. Yeah.
No anthems. Just no anthems at all. This isn't a take that I've had that has developed in the last week. I have felt this way for a long time. And I just think that part of it is disappointing to me, that it feels like the hockey isn't being celebrated as much as USA versus Canada. The Donald Trump wants to make it the 51st state stuff is like looming over all of this, and it just please don't. Yep. I just don't.
It can just be a hockey tournament. It's fine.
I don't want to hear this dumb shit for this hockey tournament that has nothing to do with any of that. And then suddenly, we're asking the players their stances on this, and they're all like, it's like the pride tape thing all over again, where it's just like they're all going to be like, I don't want to talk about any of this because there's no right answer. It doesn't matter what you say. You're going to end up with half of the people coming at you, getting crazy with you. And it's this aspect of it sucks. And that's the thing. And that's not the NHL. I don't think that's the NHL's fault. It's just the world that we ended up in at the time that this tournament kicked off. And that, to me, that I'm disappointed by all of that. The hockey itself has been really fun. And I really like that. And the games have been intense, and they have been, the players have been bought in. That's badass. Please continue that. I am all about this versus an all-star game. All-star games are dumb and lame and a huge waste of time. And I hate that. I hate myself for sitting around and spending 3 hours watching them, because every time they get to the end, I go, why did I waste that time? It sucks. The whole thing sucks. Yep. And this doesn't. Four Nations rocks. This has been fun. Although, please add more nations.
Yes. My take was, if you go back and rewind and watch our pod from the summer, remember we weren't very, I wasn't very excited about this. I thought it was going to be kind of a waste of time. And I was like, guys maybe are not going to want to go. And, thinking of the All-Star game when guys get the nod and they're like, I'd rather not go. You know what I mean? Which happens all the time. FYI, if you think it doesn't happen, then you're living under a rock, because it happens all the time. You get called into GM's office and you go to the All-Star game and they're like, I don't want to go. You know what I mean? Trust me, it happens all the time. I'd rather take the rest, and I'd rather do this. And look no further than Ovechkin, right? A couple of years ago, decided to not go and take that one-game suspension. And and because you get suspended if you don't go, right? So my take on it is, as the summer went along, I was like, I don't like it. Now, as you guys know, last week came and I was like, I actually got giddy about it, and I was like getting excited about it. And then it reminded me of when I was growing up with all those Canada Cups. And I remember my dad's clients. My dad was an agent, obviously, before being a GM of the Avalanche. And I remember the Denny Savards and Patty Waugh, and, because they got cut from some of those teams. And I remember, them being so mad and so like hurt that they're not part of that team. And I looked at it and that was just like, I don't know, I was cooking dinner and I'm like, it's the same thing. This is the same thing, because it's not the World Cup and it's not the Olympics, but you're playing for some sort of a trophy. Well, Canada Cups, and we can talk to Goo tomorrow on it. He's going to jump on with us a little bit, and a big part of those Canada Cups, it meant a lot to to all the people playing. You know what I mean? And whether there was the Czechs or the Soviets that were coming in, and it meant a lot to win that stupid trophy. You know what I mean? That's not the World Cup or the Olympics, and it was right before training camp and during training camp, which is a little bit of a different timing. But I remember the guys being so hurt for being cut or not chosen to be part of that team, and then that's why it made me realize, I'm like, these guys are going to play for real. You know what I mean? Where I didn't think this summer they would, and I think with the drop of the puck. I think it did so much for hockey. I mean, look at John Cooper today saying nothing in the last 10 years come close to putting hockey on the map like this past week or 10 days, whatever it's been. Everybody's excited. I think McDavid said it the next day, and he's not a very outspoken guy. He's like, yeah, if you think that this doesn't mean a lot, it means a lot. This is not a glorified all-star game. This is like, we're playing for our country, and I think it's been great.
I mean, it's also accomplishing everything the All-Star game was supposed to, right? They've gotten this player buy-in, and so it's a convergence of all of the best players on the planet that are playing against each other, but they actually care about the game, so the hockey is really good. You're getting all the aspects of it. It's not just high skill, everyone foo-fooing around. You have the Kachuk brothers both fighting in the first 5 seconds of a game, so you have that physical aspect side of it too. You have these plans for the future where it's not a Four Nations anymore. They're going to turn it into a World Cup. You have opportunities to play games in Europe. You have opportunities to significantly grow the game of hockey. I wasn't really a big believer in it, but with what it's become, I don't know how much better the NHL really could have done here. I think this has worked out aces for them.
I mentioned it on TDSP today, but I didn't care about this walking in, and I'm in. I think this rocks. I think it's fun.
Oh, I'm pumped for Thursday. I am pumped, and as you know, I can't lose because I'm both. But at the end of the day, Rudo's out because he said Finland's going to win. I said U.S. is going to win, so I'm still in. I don't remember did you say Canada or U.S.? I'm trying to remember. AJ.
I don't think I did, but I would have picked Canada.
Oh, okay, so perfect. So we had all 3 different ones. So there you go, perfect. And I loved Hagel's comment today. You remember? And like they're giving it to him about like, oh, Matt, he goes, you know what? What I did, I don't need a group chat. I did it for the flag in front of my jersey. I don't know if you guys saw that. He was kind of giving it to Matthew Tkachuk, about being a media guy and, a media sensation. He goes, I don't need that. I did it for my country. I thought it was awesome. I think there's bad blood. I think it's awesome. I think it's really genuine. This is not somebody said WWE. I'm like, yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, let me swing at your face and tell you that, you tell me that it's WWE and it's like doesn't hurt. It freaking hurts. You get popped right between the eyes. That freaking hurts. There's nothing fake about that.
I love that JT Miller punched himself in the face for America. That is patriotism. That is my guy right there.
If it works, it works, I guess. Again, we'll preview the final tomorrow on the show, so make sure you tune in then. But yeah, I honestly, I think this was a home run. You even see guys in the NBA who just had their All-Star game this week too, or last weekend, I guess, really. They all seem jealous of what the NHL had here. So I can't believe it, but I think we found an all-star break thing that I actually don't hate.
that the NBA is suddenly going, how do we ride the coattails of the NHL is blowing my mind.
It's a new world out here. It's a new world.
Dude, it is crazy.
Usually upside down.
All right, we are winding down the show here, but we'll preview things for real tomorrow. Who you guys give me a score prediction for Thursday?
I think it'll be 4-2 Canada.
3-2 U.S. OT. Roof comes down. Need roofers at TD Garden.
Oh.
Going to be 1-0, and Jordan Bennington is going to give up the worst goal in international history.
And that goal is going to come on the
Is that a
first
wish
shift of the game.
59 minutes of
59
horrible
minutes.
hockey.
Just with them just sitting on it. Yep.
That would be the most NHL thing that could happen in that event for sure. All right. We do have to wrap up the show. We appreciate all y'all watching for today. Of course, you can always check out more content at thednvr.com/avalanche from us. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.